Guys, I'm teaming up with my good friend, retired Navy SEAL Jocko, and we're going to do something very special. Jocko started Jocko Fuel after finding out some of the supplements that he was buying for his family were filled with heavy metals and ingredients he wasn't aware of. He wanted a line of supplements and consumables that had all of the good, effective ingredients and none of the bad. So, he made it happen. I got set up with all of the key products, and I want to do the same for you. Jocko Go. They are energy drinks for clean, sustainable energy. Jocko Milk Protein for 30 grams of delicious grass-fed protein, plus a whole line of supplements to support mood, focus, hydration, and more. Jocko Fuel supplements are scientifically formulated and made with ingredients that are clinically tested. They are better for you options with no added sugar or artificial sweeteners and no gray area ingredients or banned substances. It is clean fuel without compromise, and right now you can get 20% off when you use the promo code Chael at jockofuel.com or just click on the link below. Jon Jones heckles a comedian. What do we make of that? I mean, that's going around, and that's a big thing. Jon's out letting his hair down. Sounds inebriated. Sounds like he's interfering with the comedian. Lots has been made of this. Lots of memes, lots of headlines. You know, that's not completely what I saw. It's not completely what I saw. I thought that the comedian was a fairly willful participant. I thought the comedian did recognize him. Liked having him as part of that segment. I didn't think that Jon was obnoxious. I didn't think he was interfering with him. I guess I'll just throw that at you because a little bit of that tone has been off. And yes, Jon was out letting his hair down. And there seems to always be a big pushback if Jon Jones and drinking in public, like if any of these come in, and that is a fascinating thing when you have the world champion or the world's greatest. That is a very interesting thing. But the other side of the reality is Jon is a consenting adult. He was doing nothing wrong. He wasn't driving. I don't even think that he interfered with the comedian's set. I mean, the comedian did begin to engage him, and it was as though Jon was doing his part back and forth. I don't know a lot about it. I was a little bit surprised at a couple of things. First off, that comedy club, I was a little bit surprised. There wasn't 30 people there. And I would just think that Jon would have access to a higher level of entertainment. Jon, over the weekend, came out and he says that the UFC offered him a fight for $300, offered him the main event. And he says nothing else. Now, the something else would have been very interesting to me. I mean, if we would have had just one more detail, and I don't think we can get it. Like, let me rework this for you. Stipe Miocic has offered Jon Jones. Stipe accepts the fight. They call Jon Jones. I don't think that would be the order of events. So in the scenario I just gave you, we would have a Stipe out there. We would have another person with this information out there. We might still have hope that we could get to the bottom of this. I think Jon would have been called first. Jon is the injured party, as the champion, as the A side, as the more unlikely to say yes, is probably the first one you would go to get a yes. So we may never know who the opponent was going to be. Certainly assume that it was going to be Stipe. One of the hard things about that assumption is Jones versus Stipe doesn't go into the category of jaw-dropping or something that you couldn't handle. Right fight, great fight, it would definitely be a treat, right? Because we're sitting here waiting for that fight. So, I mean, how cool are things you're waiting for them, and you find out you don't have to wait anymore? Like, it works. Don't think I'm giving the fight a hard time. It's just hard for me to believe that that was the one. And when Jon revealed this information, right, the information is one of two things. It is either not accurate. Okay, great. We're all done here. Jon did a marketing spoof. Jon is a terrible marketer. He's a worse promoter. Before you think those are Chael's typical insults to Jon, no, not at all. The point is, as you're trying to deduce, is a statement Jon made a troll job or accurate information? Jon doesn't have a history with troll jobs. We like to be trolled. We like to troll one another. We like to guess. We like to create conspiracy theories. Then you come and give us the right answer? Okay, great. You don't get credit for having the right answer in this space. It ends it, and we just shift that same conspiracy energy to a different topic. We like it. I just shared for you that I don't believe that that's what Jon's doing. I take him at his word. So that in and of itself brings on questions. Jon's medical chart is in that state. Whether it's in that office on the second floor, whether it's in the commission's office, who looked at Jon's medical records that has previously told us Jon is out possibly until 2025? Who looked at that and came to that conclusion and then reconcluded that he could be main event ready in 6 weeks? Simple question. This isn't a gotcha moment. It's a simple question. But how did we get there? It was also stated somewhere along the way that a lot of this was not Jon's call. There was a team that looked at the injury and said, hey, wait a minute. Put a pause on it. So I'm just sharing for you, it would seem as though that team has now come to a different opinion. Did they come to that opinion because they are now confronted with information they did not previously have? Is there an updated MRI? That's what I'm asking. Simple question, but I would be curious. And where did they stop? How far into that conversation did they get before they got a no? With the very first one, could you be ready? Because generally a fighter won't do that. A real tough guy will. There's not a lot of tough guys that go into fighting. Sorry. Sorry to let you down on your heroes. They're a bunch of phonies. A real tough guy would purely only look at him. Can I be ready on that date? And nothing else would matter. They wouldn't, who's the opponent, for example, would not have even been asked. And I don't know how far into that conversation they got, but I would be very curious. So, when Jon comes out and tells the world that he was offered this fight, and the fact that Jon versus Stipe is just not a jaw-dropping moment. It's just not. It's a great fight, and we would like to have the fight, but that's not a question. That isn't Chael's opinion. That fight was booked. It was announced and tickets went on sale. They didn't move very fast. Like, this isn't Chael's opinion that that's not a massive fight. That was taken to the market, and that was proven. So are they going to put Jon against Aspinall? And now all of a sudden you do have a wow, didn't see that coming. And that's all that you have to have. To satisfy the criterion that you can't handle it, it's going to be jaw-dropping, it's something special, it's going to be a big surprise, that would have qualified and met that criterion. I'm sure it would. It's the thing that we were told we were never going to get for a number of reasons. Boom, here it is. Off we go. All right. But is that what we're going to do? Because if we were going to do it, or even if we were willing to do it, then we know that Stipe can be pushed aside. We know that that position is not as coveted and locked in as we once were told. And I'm just curious if we got to that step. Because it's a big deal that Jon revealed this piece of information. He just outed the company. He just outed them. They don't have a main event. All this stuff you're hearing about main events, this great main event that we're waiting, the big surprise, the announcement might come during the Super Bowl. They don't have it. They're buying themselves time. Anybody with the sense that God gave geese understood that. It's completely different when you're on the inside and you out them. We understand that the girl in the box on stage with the magician does not actually get cut into two pieces and then put back together. We understand that. Now, we don't quite know how the illusion was done. It would ruin it if we did. Oh, and by the way, while we're standing back and trying to figure it out because that's part of magic, if the girl in the box comes out and tells us how it was done, it's ruined. It's ruined. It was a terribly unthought out maneuver by Jon to reveal that information. But moreover, now that it's revealed, who is the opponent going to be and why? Who decided that Jon could be ready? Who decided that the medical forms no longer were telling the story? We wanted to hear what Jon thought. And it's a very interesting concept. And was he the first to be called? If he would have said yes, would it then go to Stipe? If Stipe said no, too short a notice, does it go to Aspinall? If it's one of these things where we were willing to interchange it 6 weeks from now, can we revisit that? There was a lot on that statement. It never should have been made, but it was made. And now the media has a job to ask follow-up questions. One thing I can assure you, they won't do.